stories. Okay, and the stories we tell about ourselves or also do that. So when we talk about our family, someone will ask us, so tell me about your parents or your family or whatever. So you start telling the stories to describe yourself to others, and the stories you choose often demonstrate what you value about your family and what you value about others in your family. And it also tells, in many ways, who you are and what you value and why you value it. Okay, so narrative, these stories are the things that are ours that we can carry along with us. These are the things that that help us to mourn and recover from the loss of loved ones. These are the stories that give us comfort and also give us strength. Knowing that we have um, stories of powerful people who did great things in our family, and in our country, and in our religions, give us a sense of connection and teach us things about who we should be. Now, a myth is not something which is untrue. I mean, we have this scientific vision of history where we have an objective, this event occurred and these are things that came from that, or this event did not occur and these things did not come from that. Some events did occur, but oftentimes what was really important is how we interpret and understand those events. Also, some of our stories aren't true in that they don't tell us something that actually happened, but it speaks to a higher sense of almost big T truth, things which we should value, and that we that and these myths are sort of stories, sort of meta stories that give us a framework for understanding what is that we should value and what and why we should value it. So a myth is something which is generally beyond reality. So, for example, there's a very famous story. Washington chopped down the cherry tree. You may have learned this when you were a kid. And then his father comes and looks at him and says, you didn't wash. How didn't you? Didn't you chop down the tree? And George Washington was initially thinking about lying, but he said, no, I cannot tell a lie. I chopped down the cherry tree. Now, that was a story I learned when I was a kid, which is supposed to teach us about, that George Washington, a mythic figure, he both was real, but then we put him on this almost superhuman pedestal. That we should look up to this person for, what we should value in our country, and we should follow that person. Now, of course, these myths are not true. George Washington was, of course, a slaveholder, and as a Quaker, he was a military leader, so that's challenging for me. He's not perfect, and maybe these myths themselves, they transcend who George Washington actually was, and they speak to greater values like don't lie. Okay, um, your myths speak to what your culture values and who your culture values. And it's the same thing for religions. Okay. Doctrinal, philosophical. Doctrine is literally just a codification of belief. So I believe this, I believe this, I believe this. Okay. And it's a codification because, what I believe this means is 1, 2, 3, 4. So think about, for example, we might say that in our society we value freedom, but that and we place a great deal of faith on freedom as something which can teach us about something, and can give us the best way of living our life. And it's also something that we are fundamentally willing to die for, even, and to kill for. This is something that is a transcendent value that transcends human life. Okay. Doctrine is a framing of that idea in a way that brings it up as a thought question. I have faith and value freedom, therefore I believe that, whatever it happens to be, you believe that. I believe that it must be defended. I believe that it must be defended at all costs. Okay? I believe that it must be defended at all costs, which includes the potential for military action. Okay. That's a belief, which stems from a fundamental value, an overarching, almost metaphysical, idea. You can't point to freedom. You can't carry it in a jug. It doesn't exist. It is something which we create and we keep recreating and we keep reimagining, and we also keep redefining. If you ask one person what freedom means, they might have a vastly different idea than what somebody else does. So doctrine is a way of kind of bringing that, that larger idea into focus, and gives you these are the four key aspects of what, freedom actually looks like, and what I believe to be most important about them. Okay. Now, doctrinal is also, for example, if we want to think about, again, let's say the preamble to the Constitution. We the people, in order to preserve a more, okay, the preamble. But this idea that we the people, to create a more perfect union, blah, 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 all that stems from that. Okay? These are statements of belief. I might have the idea that we are a connected society, that we should be connected, that we, the sense of community should bind us together. And the Constitution says, okay, if you have that, then this is what this actually looks like on the ground. You have to, you have the sense of we the people, the people, or demos, hence democracy. The people actually have a place in the society. We the people places, states that we believe that the people, the populace, is actually the best way of understanding us as a society, as opposed to the king, as opposed to a religious leader. It is our society, is based around peoplehood and all the beliefs that stem from that. Okay.